When the final traces of the sun's glow fall beneath the horizon, the chorus of crickets and owls begins their song, and the most nocturnal of Glenhaven's citizens turn out their candles. That is when she makes her escape. Hello everyone, and welcome to Firebrand Fables. If you're a fan of fantasy, science fiction, and horror, then stick around, because new episodes release once every week. Today's episode is part 1 in the story arc The Runaways, so make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Want to get new videos up to a week ahead of schedule? Check out my Patreon for early access, written stories, daily posts, and more. Thanks for listening, and now for today's story. July 15th, 4693 of the First Age. Glenhaven, Viridia. The young girl pushes open her bedroom window with practiced silence and hops into a garden box directly below. After closing the window behind her, she steps down from the planter and rakes her hands through the tracks she left in the soil. A smile stretches across her face as she turns her back to the house she's known her whole life. The sparse canopy of evergreen trees conceals what little light the night sky may have cast upon her, but her eyes still cut through the veil of darkness as if the moon were full and twice as bright. Even so, she could walk every inch of Glenhaven with her eyes closed. A cool wind blows past her, gently rustling the flowers that fill the garden. Her smile falters as she looks upon the clinical perfection of their display one last time. Good riddance. Goosebumps spread across her skin, and the thumping in her chest quickens as she stands on the verge of freedom and adventure. Unable to hold back for even a moment longer, she breaks into a sprint. Her path weaves through the densely packed garden, yet she moves without ever stumbling or making a sound. With one great leap over the fence, she takes off down a cobblestone road. Tears well in her eyes, and her chest spasms with the urge to both laugh and cry. Down the hill and into the village proper, she slows to a jog and keeps her head down while hugging the sides of the road. After carefully skirting under every window and hiding behind either tree or bush when the occasional guard crosses her path, she makes it to the tree line at long last. Straight ahead, a blanket of grass extends deep into the forest and fades into the darkness at the farthest reaches of her view, some 20 yards ahead. Her balance tilts forward, urging movement, but her feet remain planted. Out of the many conflicting thoughts that give root to her hesitation, one speaks louder than all the rest. No turning back. I have to hide it. A relative quiet returns to her mind as she kneels beside the base of a large tree. Among the roots, and as close to the trunk as possible, she takes the bronze circlet from her head and places it in the dirt. Her green eyes burn brightly as she waves a hand over it. Then, like a memory being repressed, a thick layer of moss conceals and consumes the circlet, leaving it perfectly hidden. Now returning her gaze to the grassy path with a relaxed sigh, her eyes widen with delight. In rapid succession, the hundreds of wildflowers littering the path begin to shine a radiant blue, lighting her way into the forest and pulsing as if to usher her onward. With an unusual but welcome ease in her shoulders, she takes her first steps into the tree line. The glow spreads through the network of flowers, rippling out from each step like water, and every new wave of flowers that shines for her elicits a quiet giggle. Her eyes turn to the sky for a few seconds as she stares past the trees and into the stars, her thoughts sending out a prayer of thanks to the ether. When her gaze drops to the path again, every inch of the trail that's visible has lit up. All sense of time is lost as she gallivants deep into the woods, following wherever the glowing path leads her. Carelessly sprinting, skipping, and springing her way far from Glenhaven, she releases a cheerful cry into the air. Having put who knows how many miles between her and civilization, the path finally opens up into the most ancient part of the forest, where the trees grow further apart, yet their size dwarfs even the largest of creatures, and the leafy canopy remains just as dense, if not more so. Upon taking her first steps past the end of the trail and into the spacious, heavily rooted region of the forest, the chorus of wildlife that had been constantly playing in her pointed ears grows silent. The elf girl glances around in confusion, almost worrying that she'd scared them, but those thoughts fade away the moment she spots the outline of a deer. The stag is resting on a bed of fallen leaves right at the edge of her vision. At that distance, the color of its fur has been stolen by the night, and the points on its antlers blur, when and if they're visible at all. The girl's eyes widen softly, and her mouth opens for a silent gasp. She carefully inches closer, each step further retrieving the shape of the deer from the darkness. Once she comes within 20 feet of it, she stops dead in her tracks. Her smile slowly fades, and she begins to squint at it. She notices the ruffled patches of fur, the odd pose of its body, the labored rise and fall of its chest, and the dark splotches across its body. Without hesitation, the girl rushes up to the injured stag. A single crude arrow protrudes from its hind leg, but more critically, there are deep claw marks stretching across its hide. Its eyes open weakly and drift over to her. Limply stretching its legs and raising its head as if to attempt to flee, it eventually slumps back down with a huff and a faint whine. "Shh, shh, shh. It's okay. Don't try to move. I'm not gonna hurt you," she whispers while kneeling over it. Holding her hands over the open wound, she closes her eyes and begins to speak in another language. A turquoise light casts out from her palms and shines upon its ruined hide. As she progresses through the chant, more and more words give her pause or cause her to stutter. She watches with increasing frustration as the light of her spell flickers and dies. An older voice, the one belonging to her mother, plays in her head. It tells her, "If you paid any attention to what I've been trying to teach you, Eve, then you would know the words." Closing her eyes, gritting her teeth, and balling her hands into fists against her legs, she growls to herself, "I know!" A deep rumble fills the air. With a start, Eve's eyes snap up and dart around before locking onto two pinpricks of light, glowing faintly in the dark. For a moment, she's not entirely sure what she's looking at, but any uncertainty she had is instantly eliminated when the two dots of light blink at her. With painful slowness, she stands up and backs away, one step at a time. Her focus nervously shifts back and forth between the pair of eyes while the rest of the creature remains hidden. The cold, unfeeling eyes stare at her from the shadows, hovering roughly 2 feet off the ground. Snapping a twig with her last step, Eve flinches and breaks eye contact with the creature for a brief moment. She looks down at her feet in a flash of panic, then back up to meet the eyes again, only now they've risen into the air, towering roughly 10 feet over her head. The hulking silhouette of the beast those eyes belong to emerges from the shadows with a lumbering stomp and a rumbling growl. Mind running blank, legs seizing up and eyes splitting wide open, she stumbles back as the behemoth plants its forelegs into the dirt with a quake. After another snarl fills the air, Eve's feet seem to gain a mind of their own, twisting sharply in the dirt and carrying her off in the opposite direction. She races into the dark as the paws of the beast thump ever closer. Scanning the terrain for anything she can put between her and the creature, her eyes land on a network of thick roots beneath a tree up ahead. Though it looks like a tight fit for her, there doesn't seem to be any other option. The heavy panting and pounding gallop of the creature draws nearer. Convinced she can feel its warm breath on her neck, her mind floods with panic. She uses every ounce of strength to reach the base of the tree, then dives into an opening among the roots. Just barely able to squeeze inside, she crawls and pulls herself fully into the jungle of interwoven roots. She tucks her feet in close, right as the behemoth slams into the gap with full force, shaking the root network like a spider web. The short but huge face of a bear fills the opening, snapping aggressively at the air. She climbs her way beneath the center of the tree, scanning in all directions for another way out. Not only does she find a way out, she looks through it and sees the warm light of a familiar shelter in the distance. While the giant, grayish-brown bear stubbornly claws away at the opening she came in through, Eve crawls under, over, and between the roots until she pulls herself out into the forest once more. Terrified of drawing the bear's attention again, she keeps her eyes fixed on what little of it is visible from her side of the tree while sneaking away. The bear continues to grunt, growl, and dig at the roots, even after it fades from her view. As she makes the long, quiet walk toward the light in the distance, her thoughts and emotions struggle with themselves. With a slight tremble in her hands, she wipes away the remnants of the tears she shed beneath the tree. Her eyes scan in all directions with an almost jittery motion as new tears slowly build in the corners of them. The image of the bear's maw chomping wildly at her while she shrank just out of reach replays in her mind. She aggressively wipes away the new tears that fall down her cheeks. Remembering the deer and how the whole encounter began, she clenches her jaw and firmly places her hands on her face. God, I should have known. I should be better than this, she thinks, before dropping her hands and taking a deep breath. Stop it. Just... Arriving at the source of light, what she sees is an otherwise ordinary-looking tree for this part of the forest, similar to an oak that's grown hundreds of feet tall before branching out to create a massive canopy that merges with all the rest. However, at the base of the trunk lies a tunnel within a large hollow, and at the bottom of the tunnel shines that warm light she followed. Eve sits on the edge of the hollow, letting her feet rest within the tunnel's downward slope. Glancing at the part of the trunk directly above the hollow, she reads a message that's been woven into the pattern of the bark. Misfits and runaways only. As she slides into the tunnel with a hop, the hollow magically seals itself behind her. And that's it for part 1, Into the Wild. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on new episodes. Also, make sure to check out my Patreon if you want to show the channel some support and get extra goodies while you're at it. I'd like to give a special thanks to Alex Kenoyer for writing and recording music for my stories. You can find him on Instagram at AlexKenoyer_. That's ALEXKENOYER_. You can find the links to his page as well as my other ones down in the description. Thanks again for watching. See ya.